The East Coast Main Line, Newark Northgate to Doncaster, Jans. A journey through history, speed and the famous Newark Flat Crossing. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are travelling north along one of Britain's greatest railway routes, the magnificent East Coast Main Line, as we journey from Newark Northgate to Doncaster. This relatively short section of railway is packed with history, famous railway landmarks, high-speed running, and one of the most fascinating pieces of railway infrastructure anywhere in the United Kingdom, the remarkable Newark Flat Crossing. For railway enthusiasts, this stretch of line is a true delight. It combines the excitement of 125-mile-per-hour express trains, busy freight operations, historic stations, and engineering features that tell the story of Britain's railway development over nearly 2 centuries. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey as we head north from Newark Northgate towards the famous railway city of Doncaster. Our journey begins at Newark Northgate, one of Nottinghamshire's most important railway stations. The station opened in 1852 as part of the Great Northern Railway's ambitious main line from London King's Cross towards Yorkshire and eventually Scotland. The East Coast Main Line, as we know it today, was built by several railway companies during the great railway boom of the 19th century, eventually creating a continuous route from London to Edinburgh. Newark Northgate remains one of the most attractive stations on the route. The handsome station buildings and long platforms still retain much of their Victorian character, despite modernisation and electrification. As trains pause here, passengers are often unaware that just a few hundred yards ahead lies one of the most unusual railway locations in Britain. As we accelerate north from Newark Northgate, all eyes should be looking ahead, because here we arrive at the legendary Newark Flat Crossing. For many railway enthusiasts, this is one of the most fascinating locations anywhere on the national network. The crossing is unique. In fact, it is the last remaining standard gauge flat railway crossing on Network Rail where 2 major railway lines physically cross each other at the same level. Here, the Nottingham to Lincoln line crosses directly over the East Coast Main Line at an angle of approximately 44 degrees. Rather than passing over or under on a bridge, trains simply cross each other's path on the level. It is an extraordinary survival from the Victorian railway age. Every day, high-speed expresses travelling between London, Yorkshire, Newcastle and Scotland thunder across this crossing, while local trains carefully traverse the intersecting route. The crossing dates back to the early days of railway expansion and has existed here since 1852. Numerous plans have been proposed to replace it with a flyover or dive under, yet engineering difficulties, the nearby River Trent and the surrounding infrastructure have prevented a solution from being built. Even today, trains on the East Coast Main Line must reduce speed slightly when passing over the crossing. For enthusiasts standing on Newark Northgate's platforms or viewing from nearby footbridges, it remains one of the best places in Britain to watch modern railway operations. It is one of those rare locations where Victorian engineering still has a direct influence on 21st century railway operations. As we pass the crossing, we immediately cross the River Trent. The broad waters of the Trent have shaped Newark's history for centuries. From the train, there are fine views across the river and surrounding floodplains. The landscape here begins to change as we leave Nottinghamshire behind and enter increasingly open countryside. One of the wonderful things about the East Coast Main Line is the sense of speed. Unlike some British main lines which twist and curve through difficult terrain, the East Coast route was engineered with fast running in mind. Long straight sections stretch towards the horizon. The overhead wires flash past, signals race by, and the train settles into the effortless high-speed cruising that has made this line famous around the world. For decades, this route has been synonymous with speed. From the steam age of the Flying Scotsman and Mallard to the Intercity 125 and Intercity 225 era, the East Coast Main Line has always represented the cutting edge of British railway travel. As we continue north, the line passes through rural Nottinghamshire. Fields stretch across the landscape. Small villages appear in the distance. Occasionally, church spires rise above the surrounding countryside. The route here follows a natural corridor that has been important for transport for centuries. Running roughly parallel to the historic Great North Road, now the A1, both road and railway have linked London with the north for generations. Soon we approach one of the East Coast Main Line's lesser known but important stations. Retford. Retford has been a railway town since the earliest days of the railway age. The station occupies an important location where routes diverge towards Sheffield and Lincolnshire. Historically, it served as a key interchange point, connecting the East Coast Main Line with important regional routes. Even today, it remains a useful stopping point for services travelling between London, Yorkshire and beyond. For photographers and enthusiasts, Retford offers excellent opportunities to observe a wide variety of traffic. Express passenger trains, regional services, freight trains, engineering trains, all can regularly be seen passing through. The station itself retains much of its traditional railway atmosphere and remains a favourite location for railway enthusiasts. North of Retford, the character of the line changes once again. This is classic East Coast Main Line territory. Long straight sections allow trains to accelerate towards maximum speed. Looking from the cab or passenger window, one gains a real appreciation of the engineering vision of the Victorian railway builders. Their goal was simple: create a direct, fast route linking London with the great cities of northern England and Scotland. More than 170 years later, their achievement continues to impress. As we race northward, freight traffic remains an important feature of the line. The East Coast Main Line is not simply a passenger railway, it is also a vital freight artery. Container trains from ports, steel traffic, engineering trains, fuel movements, all share the route with high-speed passenger services. This mixture of traffic creates endless interest for enthusiasts. You never quite know what might appear next. Perhaps an LNER Azuma, a Freightliner service, a Grand Central train, or even a special charter working. Every journey offers something different. The countryside now becomes flatter as we move closer to South Yorkshire. Agricultural land dominates the landscape. Large open skies stretch across the horizon. In many ways, this section captures the essence of Eastern England. Quiet villages, historic market towns, and a railway linking them all together. As we approach Doncaster, railway history begins to surround us. Few places are more important to British railway history than Doncaster. For generations, Doncaster was one of the great railway centres of Britain. The famous Doncaster Works produced some of the most celebrated locomotives ever built. It was here that many legendary East Coast locomotives were constructed: the Flying Scotsman, Mallard, and countless other famous machines all have strong connections with this city. For railway enthusiasts, Doncaster occupies an almost mythical place in railway history. As the line becomes busier, additional tracks begin to appear. Freight yards, sidings, engineering facilities. The railway presence becomes increasingly obvious. The approaches to Doncaster are among the busiest sections of railway in northern England. Numerous routes converge here. Lines towards Leeds, Sheffield, Hull, Scunthorpe, York and Scotland all contribute to a constant flow of railway traffic. The signalling infrastructure is equally impressive. Modern railway operations around Doncaster are controlled by one of Britain's major signalling centres. reflecting the importance of this section of the network. Soon, the platforms of Doncaster station come into view. The train begins to slow. Signals guide us through the complex junctions and track layouts. And finally, we arrive beneath the station canopies of one of Britain's great railway cities. Doncaster station remains one of the most important locations on the East Coast Main Line. For enthusiasts, it is a destination in its own right. The station offers excellent train spotting opportunities, fascinating railway history, and a constant parade of passenger and freight traffic. Whether you are interested in modern high-speed trains, classic railway architecture, or Britain's rich railway heritage, Doncaster has something to offer. And that brings us to the end of our journey from Newark Northgate to Doncaster. Although only a relatively short section of the East Coast Main Line, it contains some of the most fascinating railway features in the entire country. From the historic platforms of Newark Northgate to the extraordinary Newark Flat Crossing, through the fast-running countryside of Nottinghamshire, past Retford, and finally into the great railway city of Doncaster, this route offers everything a railway enthusiast could wish for. It is a journey that perfectly demonstrates why the East Coast Main Line remains one of Britain's greatest railways. Thank you very much for joining me on this trip. If you enjoyed the journey, please give the video a like, leave a comment below with your memories of this route, and let us know if you have ever watched trains at the famous Newark Flat Crossing. Don't forget to subscribe for more railway journeys, railway history, driver's eye views, station features, and transport documentaries from across Britain and beyond. Until next time, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you again very soon for another railway adventure.